Writing a novel in a month can be daunting, but it doesn't have to be. Today I'm going to share 3 things you should think about before NaNoWriMo to set yourself up for the most success during the challenge. Hi, I'm Megan. I'm a professional writer, published author, and writing coach, and 5-time winner of NaNoWriMo. That's right, I put myself through that 5 times. Some years were definitely easier than others, and I've learned a lot about how to navigate the challenge without losing my sanity. If you're new and want to improve your writing, consider subscribing. I'd love to be your writing coach. Today, I'm going to share with you 3 things that if you think through them before you start NaNoWriMo, it'll go a lot smoother for you. I promise. So without further ado, let's talk about those things. The first thing to think about, what's your goal? What do you hope to accomplish by the end of November? During my first NaNoWriMo, I went into it with an idea and a couple of scenes, and that was pretty much it. I didn't do any prep beforehand. The result of that, 50,000 words of disjointed scenes, mix and matched points of views, styles, tones, didn't make any sense, and I spent the next 2 NaNoWriMos trying to make it better. It was a really fun, whirlwind, crazy writing experience, very creative, but it was a mess. So before you start NaNoWriMo, I highly encourage you to think about a goal. Maybe you want to finish a full novel. You want to write 50,000 words of something that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Just remember that 50,000 words isn't really a full novel. It's not a very long novel, at least. So even if you write a story during NaNoWriMo with a beginning, middle, and an end, you're still probably going to have to go in and add scenes and details later. But maybe that's a goal that you have. Or maybe your goal is to write the first half of your story, so dedicating the 50,000 words to everything leading up to the middle point. Or maybe your goal is to write 50,000 words of any part of the story and fill in the gaps later. That method definitely provides a lot more freedom, but you may find it to be a bit more disorganized. It's sort of how I approached that first NaNoWriMo, and it was a lot of work to go back through 50,000 words and determine where scenes go and what comes first and next and where everything should be put and why did I do that to myself. My suggestion would still be to try and keep things in order as much as possible. So why does a goal matter? The more focus you have, the better the outcome. For instance, if your main goal is to write as detailed a first half of your story as possible, you won't spend precious time during Nano writing the end of your story because your goal will be to work on the first half. Or if your goal is to have kind of a complete story by the end of the month, you won't spend half the month working on your beginning scenes because you'll know, okay, I really need to dedicate time to the middle and the end as well. Second thing to think about before you start NaNoWriMo is how are you going to prepare? Again, I will say it again and again, the first time I did Nano, I did not prepare at all, and we all know now where that got me. It got me nowhere. I talk about this all the time, but I think truly the best way to start any project is by figuring out a premise. Basically, the arc of your story. So where is your character going to begin? What's kind of the change that's going to happen in them, and where are they going to end up? Your premise is like the backbone of your story. It's the main thing your protagonist is going to learn by the end. And then, of course, I think character development is really helpful prior to Nano as well. I'm not really a person who can sit down and who loves going through all the details of a character, like what's their favorite color and what food do they like and what color is their hair and what did they do when they were 5. I don't know. I get lost in all those details, I think. So there are a few things that I try to think of when I'm developing characters when I'm not able to go into that much detail. What I want to know is, does this character agree or disagree with the premise, and to what extent? Because that's going to tell me how they're going to either help or hinder my main character in learning what they need to learn. And then, what's this character like? But kind of the big picture things, what's their personality like? What are their motivations? Where do they come from? That kind of thing. And then, what's their ultimate role in the story? Kind of like figuring out a mini arc for them. What are they going to learn by the end? Or how are they going to grow? And then, once you've got your premise and your characters, I always say it's important to have an outline. I have a bunch of videos on outlining that you can check out, but I always suggest starting with the turning point. So this is basically the point in the story where your main character starts to go, oh, okay, maybe there's something to the premise. Maybe there's something to learning that lesson. Then from the turning point, you add to what comes before it and what comes after it. I always say start with the big picture, high level points, and then add detail from there. I don't think you need a super detailed outline before you start NaNoWriMo, but obviously the more detailed, the better. But an outline is going to be really helpful. It's going to be a roadmap for you as you're writing so that you never hit a wall on November 11th where you say, I don't know. Where's my story going? Oh no. You don't want to do that because then you'll get behind and then you won't finish and then you'll be sad. We can't have that. Okay, so anywho, before starting Nano, think about your goal and think about what you're gonna do to prepare. And then, what are you gonna do after Nano? Are you gonna continue working on this project? Are you gonna take a break? If you're doing anything else during Nano, a job, taking care of your kids, living, no. If you're doing anything else during NaNoWriMo, you'll quickly find that making the daily word count can be pretty challenging, and I found that keeping that up after November is pretty hard. There's just something about the November challenge where you know that other writers are doing it and it's kind of this camaraderie and it's only for a month, that once you hit November 30th, all of that falls away and you're like, well, I don't really want to keep writing that much a day, especially with the holidays. Maybe you're different and it really works for you. I don't know. But my advice would be take a little break, nothing too long, because a break can quickly become 3 months. But give yourself some time off if you want. And then when you come back to writing your story, reduce your word count goal a lot. So maybe for December or for January, your goal isn't to write another 50,000, but it's to write 10,000 or 15,000 words. Something a lot smaller and more attainable. Okay, so those are my tips for you as you take on NaNoWriMo this year. Let's recap. Before November 1st, this is what you gotta do. Number 1, set yourself a goal. What do you want to accomplish by the end of November? Number 2, how are you gonna prepare? Are you gonna think through your premise, your characters? How are you gonna outline all of that? Number 3, how are you gonna continue writing your project after November's done? Are you gonna take a break? Are you gonna keep writing? What's your plan? By thinking through these things ahead of time, you're gonna set yourself up for the most success during the challenge, as well as the most likelihood of actually finishing your project once November's over. These can be helpful things to think through even as you're setting any other writing goal as well. It doesn't have to just be for NaNoWriMo. I hope this video was helpful and I wish you all the best with Nano this year. You got this. I'm not participating, but I will be rooting you on. Keep me updated here, or you can find me on Instagram. I'd love to hear how it's going for you. And of course, like and subscribe for more tips on each part of the writing process. As always, thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great day and good luck with Nano. You got this.